I started looking at it more like a medicine now in the past probably 6 months than I have in the past 3 years. It was definitely more of a party thing at first, but as life has gone on, the more that I've used them, the more they have just kind of pushed me to taking care of myself.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that you had previously tried them as like a party get fucked up type of thing, because I like to mention all the time that like that's not really what psychedelics should be used for, even though they are used for that a lot.
Yeah,
Using them as a medicine, using them for something that can, help you mentally is really the way that psychedelics should be ingested.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm still scared to have a bad trip. I'm like worried about it.
Um, don't,
Because I'm so new
which I
to
guess is
it.
easier said than
Too, because I haven't had one.
yeah. I mean, I
Well,
haven't. My first bad trip was the beginning of last year. Was February when I had what I would consider to be yeah. I'll tell this story because why not? Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think it was more. I think it was more bad from a spectator's her perspective because she was sitting for me. But I'll break it down in like a story format. So we decided to take mushrooms. It was cold out. It was February, and we went on a walk in a park nearby us. Now the walk was great. We started tripping during the walk, and had just a wonderful time. And it was fantastic. There was big, tall pine trees that looked absolutely phenomenal. It was great. It was exactly what you would expect from a mushroom trip. Then we get home and we start cozying up, and that was all perfectly fine. And we turn on Netflix and we're like, well, what do we watch? Well, my high ass, literally.
I should have known better.
Yeah, really.
I should have known better.
My high ass sees this recommended, tile that says "Life After Death," or what was it called?
No,
It was Life After Death. Yeah, and death has always been something that like seriously interested me, and so when we're sitting there and I see it, I was like, oh, play that, because I was like, that'll be cool. Well, the first episode was all of these people who had near-death experiences talking about those experiences, and so I was convinced fully, because I'm still tripping at this point, I was fully convinced that I had died, and that what I just watched was like your kind of like your intro video. Like, when you first start at like a corporate company or whatever, and they're like, hi, welcome to us, this is what we're about. I was fully convinced that what I had just watched was an orientation to being dead. Sorry. So that episode ends or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch kind of, freaked out, like, oh, did I just die? And was so convinced that we had died in a car accident on our way to go on the walk. So, like, the whole walk that I just experienced didn't actually happen.
oh wow.
Yeah, so I go running, sprinting out of our front door. Yes, there's snow on the ground because it's the middle of February. I go sprinting out of our front door in bare feet and long john underwear and like just a t-shirt.
No, there is no t-shirt. I don't know.
Did I have a t-shirt on?
No.
No, so literally just long john underwear and no socks. Sprint to the end of our street and was like looking for a car accident or something because I thought I was like outside of my own body right now.
Yeah.
For a good like I think hour or so, or maybe even 2, what I had thought actually happened was I had died in that car accident and then gone through like that whole orientation of like being dead thing, and then because my trip was like kind of ending, I had this like like the image of like a water droplet hitting a still pool of water and then like it ripples straight up.
Yeah.
It was like an actual visual that I had got from the ceiling. So I had thought that I was died, went through the post-death experience, and then got dropped as my consciousness into a new body with all of the memories of that body and not my own memories of the life before. And that freaked me out for a while. Now, coming back from that and, like, actually having the trip end and then, like, rationalizing it and coming back to being sober, it did leave me with a different appreciation for death and a different way of looking about my own mortality, because now I conceptualize death as this kind of point in a continuum. So like there's the pre-life experience, there's the life experience, and then there's the post-life experience. And the death is just the transfer from the life experience to that post-life experience. And then post-life kind of bleeds back into pre-life and then to birth and then to life. So it's this whole cyclical process. And that's what that kind of, you could say, bad death or bad trip left me with. So when I say don't worry about having a bad trip, what I mean is that even if the trip's scary or freaks you out in the moment, it'll probably leave you with something pretty profound. And I think, like, if you were to go onto, like, Psychonaut Wiki or Arrowid.com, you could read people's trip reports that have had bad trips, and they'll mostly resonate the same, that the trip, despite how kind of awful or scary or anxiety-inducing it was in the moment, by the end of it, you're left with something pretty profound that you can then take forward into your life.
There's a mushroom guy right next to me. So I'm gonna check it out.
Hell yeah!
Oh shit,
Oh no.
So that's kind of my spiel about bad trips.
The easiest one was one where I was just laying in my buddy's bed and just basically unable to understand like what technology was, and but mainly because I was just tripping hard. I was tripping so hard that like I didn't understand what reality was, because at one point I was running up this endlessly long like flight of stairs that spiraled this tower, and it was raining, and I was just running up the stairs, and I got to the top of it, and there I was playing a card game with my friends, which I was doing because it's what we were doing, was playing card games with each other. And then next thing I know, I'm not talking, but I am talking, and just the whole experience itself was really surreal, and it really um, but I don't know how I got out of it where like alcohol was the issue, but that's kind of where like alcohol and my issues with it really went downhill, or where I was winning the battle, I guess is a better way to put it. But I was standing there, and somebody, like, one of the cards name was like remodel or something. And they're like remodel, and then somebody's like, "All right, the wife needs another remodel," and I had an out like a drink in my hand, and I'm like drink, and just like watching myself just like stumble and spill the drink and just be a drunk idiot, um and then I'm like, okay, and turned around and ran back down this endlessly long staircase and got back down to a bunch of just me's down there, and they're like, "What's up? Their boss needs another remodel." Like, all right. Everybody runs off with alcohol in their hands, going off to do this remodel. And it was just like, it was just really weird. Like seeing yourself, like hundreds of thousands of you run off after one of you just told yourself to go get a remodel. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're telling the story. But for me, it was really, it was a bad trip, because it was like anxiety inducing in the fact is like, I don't want to be that guy anymore. And I'm not. I lost a ton of weight. I'm down 70 pounds, and it was a good trip in that sense.